Singapore has emerged 21st among 30 countries in an annual global ranking on soft power. The Soft Power 30 Index assessed countries around the world using various metrics, and they included digital, education, enterprise, global engagement, government culture, and data from an international poll.
Among the subcategories, Singapore topped the list as the world's #1 enterprise hub. It also did well in the digital category, achieving the 8th position for its robust digital infrastructure and advanced digital government services.
Where Singapore lost out was in education, government culture and engagement, coming in the bottom 10 for all of those 4 categories.
For the international poll component, Singapore came in 21st. It's based on the responses of some 12,000 people across 25 countries surveyed on their perception of foreign countries.
Now, in the overall rankings, France came in first, followed by the United Kingdom and Germany. Only 4 Asian countries made it to the list, while with Japan ranking 8th, South Korea ranked 19th, and China was in the 27th position.
Now, for more on this, let's speak with Jonathan McClory, Portland's General Manager for Asia and the creator of the index. Tell us then, France and the UK lead the Soft Power 30 Index, and in Asia, the highest ranked countries are Japan and South Korea. How does Singapore sort of measure up against those?
Yes, well, I think Singapore stacks up pretty well, actually. The index shows that Singapore has real soft power strengths, particularly, as you say, in the enterprise and digital components of our index. It's known for being the world's most competitive economy, but the countries at the very top of our index have a better balance across all of the components of soft power. Countries like France, the UK, Germany, and even Japan, they do benefit from just the sheer size relative to Singapore, which gives them a natural advantage. And these countries at the very top, they have much larger global presence in terms of their cultural projection, things like recognizable consumer brands. And they have a bit more of an ability to influence global affairs through a much larger diplomatic network, membership of multilateral organizations, and an ability to leverage overseas development aid. It's difficult for Singapore to match some of the scale of the countries at the top, but that doesn't mean that Singapore can improve, and obviously it doesn't mean that Singapore doesn't have real assets. But being small, Singapore deals with being small quite well, but it can still be, a bit of a challenge when you're going up against the world's largest.
So, speaking of going up against the world's largest, Jonathan, Singapore tends to punch above its weight when it competes internationally. So, what's new that this soft power index brings to our attention?
Sure, and you're absolutely right. Singapore does punch above its weight. There are some smaller countries in the index, though, that do perform a bit better. So countries like New Zealand, Ireland, Switzerland, Finland managed to eke out a better performance than Singapore. But what the index shows is 2 things. First, it largely confirms what we already know. As we said, Singapore's economic model is the primary source of its soft power and really the cornerstone of its global brand. But the second thing it shows is that in order for Singapore to further develop its soft power, the same attention that's been put into building Singapore's business-friendly model needs to be put into Singapore's ability to project its culture, to harness creativity, and really establish and communicate a greater sense of global purpose.
So, Jonathan, what is the value then of soft power with regards to Singapore, especially in contrast to hard power?
Sure. So hard power, of course, is about using military might or economic sanctions or the size of your market to coerce behavior from others. Now, Singapore takes its hard power very seriously, right? It clearly has the most advanced, well-equipped, and well-established military in the region, but it's a defensive military. Singapore is never going to invade another country, in the region or elsewhere in the world to get its way. And so that means that if Singapore is going to try and shape global or regional affairs, it can only do this through soft power. That means having the resources to win admiration and attraction from potential international partners and being able to use those resources to persuade partners that Singapore's way is the best way. And then when Singapore comes with a solution to an international problem, that others ought to get on board.
Jonathan, you mentioned the enterprise sub-index. Singapore topped that one, and it means, or it makes us really a business-friendly place. But are we talent competitive? And does Singapore have what it takes to attract and perhaps grow talent that's necessary for a competitive economy?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think if Singapore has shown anything through its 54 years of independence, it is that it can set priorities to achieve them. I think if the government is determined to attract and welcome, the best talent in the world while developing Singapore's local skills, I don't think there's any other country in the world that can beat them in that venture. Obviously, attracting international talent comes with some domestic political risks. If Singaporeans feel that they're not getting an opportunity to develop their skills and take their role in the economy, that could be problematic. But as long as it's done with a proper balance and the policy and priorities are communicated effectively, I do think Singapore has what is required to attract and welcome the best talent from around the world and be talent competitive, absolutely.
Jonathan, thank you very much for those perspectives. We've been speaking there to Jonathan McClory. He's General Manager Asia of Portland and author of Portland's Soft Power 30 report.